Hi there. We're the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller, and I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas in San Francisco.
And today we want to tell you about the full moon in Aries that's happening this October. It's coming up on the 20th, depending on, what time zone you're in, probably falling on the 20th. This particular moon involves a strong rulership by Mars. And I say that because the moon appears in the sign of Aries, and it's opposite to Mars in its own sign of detriment, Libra. Mars is hanging out with the sun and then opposing that moon that it rules. So this is a fiery moon. It's a hot moon, and moon has to do with emotions. It has to do with feelings as well as intuition. This moon could be characterized by some impulsive, hot-headed actions, especially when you consider that there's a square to Pluto involved. Pluto and Mars have an interesting relationship because Mars used to rule Pluto's sign of Scorpio before Pluto was discovered. And in traditional astrology, Mars still does co-rule that. And so they have shared the sign of Scorpio for millennia. And now Pluto's in town, and Pluto has some Mars nature to it. It's very, very willful, very, very driven to the point of obsession at times, and can be overpowering and even inexorable. So when you throw a little Pluto energy into this moon and you get all that strong-willed but generally transparent nature of Mars mixed up with the strong-willed but definitely not transparent and much more veiled and obscured nature of Pluto, well, you've kind of got a recipe for a kind of incendiary moon that might burst out in relationships and might be characterized by some power and control dynamics as well. It's a good thing that Jupiter is here to help. But before I speak to that, Julia, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this moon.
Oh, yeah. Well, this moon, my first thought is seeing Mars and Pluto in the mix. That can add a lot of power struggles to this full moon, especially that come out in your relationships. And because the moon is in Aries and Mars is involved, it kind of makes me feel like one side is going to try to strong arm the other into sort of, no, this is what I want, my way or the highway kind of attitude. It's very, very potent. And the other thing that Mars and Pluto make me think about too is that Mars is the old ruler of sex, back before we discovered Pluto, and Pluto is the modern ruler of sex. So this is also quite a physically amorous, kind of hot and heavy full moon at the same time too.
Yeah, I think some couples could work this one out in the bedroom if they have an otherwise healthy relationship.
Yeah.
So for the other moon this month, which you should definitely check because it also involves a Mars influence. So there are some themes definitely going on with the moons this month. You'll find that one, as you found this one, in the October 2021 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. But in that moon, with Mars's involvement, we said that it's important to respect your adversary's sovereignty. Respect the fact that they are a sovereign individual whom ultimately you can't control. And I think there's something about that going on with this moon very much.
Very good.
We've named it Negotiate Strongly, Then Let Go. And the letting go part is the Pluto part. So Mars can push for what you want, all day long and twice on Sundays. And Pluto can push for it too, but without that crucial element of letting go and letting God, for example, it's hard to imagine this turning out well. So I think one of the keys to this one is to recognize your adversary's power, whether you acknowledge it out loud or not. You don't have to say to your adversary like, I bow to your power, but at least recognize it in your own mind. Your adversary has power, and you're going to have to contend with that as you move through whatever negotiations are afoot during this moon. So we have a really helpful trine with Jupiter, and I think this is super duper helpful.
I'm
Thank
so
goodness
happy to
for
see
this.
that.
Yeah, it brings in this quality of benevolence. We need to also remember that Jupiter can be, Jupiter is, the planet that's in charge of, some of it has a dark side, which is to say, manifest destiny, cultural appropriation, things like that. And so Jupiter's expansiveness can sometimes be like a hostile takeover. But in this case, it being expressed through this harmonious trine over to the sun, along with also a really lovely sextile over to the moon, I think that brings in more of Jupiter's positivity, its benevolence, its warmth, its tolerance, and fascination with culture, as opposed to desiring to take over that which is foreign. Julia, how do you think Jupiter is helpful during this particular moon?
Yeah. Jupiter, one word I think of when I think of Jupiter is perspective. And that's kind of the higher side of Jupiter. Jupiter is about looking at the big picture and not getting too mired in the details. So I really love seeing that Jupiter is helping out here, because all that Aries, Mars energy can be very myopic, can be very sort of narrow tunnel vision with, I want to get my way, or I'm pissed off about something. And Jupiter
and Pluto has a tendency to see things in black and white very much.
Totally,
And to
exactly.
paint them in, shades of good and evil too.
Yep. And Jupiter, I think, is there to help us detach a little bit, look at things, look at the big picture, and just be like, do I want to make a mountain out of this molehill right now?
Yep. I think that perspective may well be needed during this moon. Well, like I said, go ahead and check out the other moon that we have done this month, as well as the other videos that you'll find on our YouTube channel. And particularly, you can see the whole news for the month on our website, pandoraastrology.com, on the monthly forecast page. You can find your horoscope there for the month, and you can get readings and take classes. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.